baseball, not always the best team.
As always, everything is powered by Game 7 Baseball. Welcome inside the press box. That's all right. I was doing my Marcel Marceau routine right there. If you don't know who that is, you're too young. But anyway, we're here live. Appreciate it. We're kicking off the season. We got some good stuff. And as always, we're powered by Game 7 Baseball, game7baseball.com. We were going to have Dave Penning on, but Dave had to go up to Quincy. They got a rules meeting up there with a group of umpires and getting ready for some tournaments up there. So I appreciate what he does. And I want to give a shout out to Dave. Dave, he lost his father not too long ago, and I know this offseason he's been dealing with some health issues, and his mom's had some health issues. And I just want Dave to know we're thinking of you, buddy. You stay strong, and we're here for you, man. I just want you to know that. It's hard, man, when you're working and everything is going in so many different directions. So I appreciate Dave and what they do with Game 7 Baseball. Folks, we're starting off tonight. I have on the show, as always, Mr. Dave Wiggins, the head coach at Principia High School and director at Recruits Baseball. Dave, good to see you, buddy.
Great to be on. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And a special guest, you probably saw him on a podcast here recently with the Hitting Zone. We have Jason Christian, former professional baseball player. He owns his own training facility. We're in Ohio, Jason.
Cincinnati.
Very familiar with Cincinnati. And he's also, I don't know how you'd call it. Anyway, Kilo Gear. He is a representative for Kilo Gear. It's a brand new product. It's a weight system that's a little different. And we're jumping in the middle of this, and we're going to be providing you an opportunity to share in this product. So Youth Baseball Midwest, I think right now you have if you go to the website and use YBM10, the code in there, you get 10% off anything you purchase at kilogear.com. So looking forward to that. But Jason, talk to us a little bit about Kilo Gear.
Yeah, Kilo Gear was originally thought in terms of, performance for and advantages for the pro level and the Olympic level athletes. And we saw great success with those guys. And, we spent a lot of time research and development with top doctors, movement scientists in the world. And, the idea was, how do you enhance their performance, but do it in a safer way? And, I think in our climate right now, we have a ton of, I'll call it gadgetry, just a lot of different tools and a lot of good tools. But there's also a lot of tools that are, pseudoscience and really not science-backed at all. And so we try to take the approach of, working with the top doctors, movement scientists, people, the actual athletes themselves, and figure out how we could keep them moving as they're naturally intended to move, but metrically help them. We're in an era right now where if you're on the youth side, everything is driven metrically. It's the 60, the exit velo, the throwing velo. Everything is based on a metric. At the pro level, they're talking about metrics as well. And so you talk about 92% of ground balls hit in the big leagues under 92 miles an hour are outs. And so they are they are really trying to nail down to the number, right, on what they're going to need to be successful. And so that's what we did with those doctors, is figuring out, down to the ounce and the gram, what kind of weight do we need, where do we put it. We put everything on muscle bellies away from the joints so that your body is not restricted, no biomechanical changes while you're moving. So I can take a kid in the cage and try to get him to move a little bit differently, and they're going to feel that a little bit quicker. So, I know for me in the past, years ago, it was a lot of verbal cues, right? Do you feel that? Do you feel this? And they inevitably, as kids, they always tell you they do, but they don't always feel that. And so neurologically, they're able to feel their bodies a little bit more body awareness. And then they get, as a result, they get all of the things that they're looking for metrically, that they want. But then from a parent point of view, I've got a kid in college pitching. He's gone through the whole travel ball circuit. And, as a parent, what I want is safe development, right? So we address the ligaments and the tendons, connective tissue issues, all of that type of stuff as well. So you get a little bit of both.
Dave, questions?
From just someone who, is operating a facility, we have kids of all ages come in. We have 8-year-olds come in for hitting, pitching lessons. We have college guys come in, pro guys. The benefits of being able to be, because like you said, when you ask a kid, did you feel that, or does that feel different? They want to give you the answer you want to hear. And they're gonna say yes, right? And if they can actually feel that, or they can actually feel some sort of a change. And I think it's why, we use plyo balls instead of baseballs when we're warming up, so they can get a different size implement or a different weighted implement in their hand to feel their arm work a little bit differently if we're trying to influence an arm action cue. So I kind of view it the same way. Whereas, if you can put some sort of apparatus on them to get them to feel a little bit differently, kind of like the core velocity belt that Lance Wheeler pioneered. That's kind of how I view that. Am I looking at it in the right regard?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the only thing that differentiates us is that, you don't have to hook into anything, with us. Your body is the
Yeah.
tool. We're all medical grade compression. So the weights are slid right into the shirt or the shorts or the tights or whatever garment that we're working on. Weighted vest, same thing. We were originally anti-weighted vests. Because most of the weighted vests on the market were, loaded in improper places. So you were getting some spinal compression, postural imbalances. And so we just kind of reimagined that, put the weights a little bit lower down towards the core, forces everything to stabilize through the center of the body. But in terms of application for practice plans, pregame routines, as a coach, you're able to stick with what you know and what you like as far as a pregame routine goes. But those players get a lot more muscle fiber activation. They're getting to active warm up 50% faster just because their body's under resistance during that time. And, from a versatility standpoint, they're able to take those weights right before the game and go play.
That's cool. I like it.
So your
like-
body turns into the tool, not an extra thing, right? And so with the light
Right.
loads, it doesn't impact, swings, especially in the younger guys, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. When you try to overload, underload to a certain degree, they're going to lose form. And so with the lighter loads, everything in the upper body for us is a quarter pound at a time, and we can increment that up to, a half a pound for a really youth player or 3/4 of a pound for an adult college pro player. It's really not about the amount of weight. It's really revolves around the location. And so those guys are able to move as they're naturally used to moving without any of those biomechanical changes. I don't have to go back after a bat speed program and try to get their swing back because their form didn't leave them.
I
No,
love
that's
that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about how many kids, when they're doing a bat speed program, they're overswinging. They're being coached to overswing, to move the barrel faster, to generate more bat speed. But as we know, you can move the barrel as fast as you want against a guy throwing 85, 90 with a slider, and it doesn't matter if your swing's broken down, if you're not connected, if you're not on time, and if they can keep their swing and they can they can continue to swing the way that they would swing in a game, but also gain the advantage of what a bat speed program could give them without having to cheat for bat speed. That sounds revolutionary to me.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things that I see, at least teaching, is especially in the 8 to 12, 9 to 13 range, is directional challenges. They're all
Yes.
very over rotated on the hips. They're flying out because I think they're being cued to be aggressive, right? They're being told by their coaches, hey, be aggressive, let's swing with some intent. And that's not the wrong message, but I think the response is too often to, get over aggressive and start spinning. And so one of the things that's nice about, the way we weight you is it's just enough to slow you down and get you into sequence. So I see a lot of directional advantage with the guys that are wearing the vest, especially. So they'll be able to get into that hip hinge, hold that hinge, and then as a byproduct, you're holding direction, you're staying on that pitcher and getting through baseballs a lot more often.
One of the things that's interesting to me is when we talk about, you said the weight is on the belly of the muscle and not on the ligaments and things like that. Kind of explain that to folks.
Yeah, so I mean, everything, I say everything. A lot of the things that are out there are either implements that are used, like a weighted ball is in your hand, which, their weighted balls certainly have their place. But, when you start getting into a certain weight of them and you're throwing overhand and you're putting that implement right in your hand next to your joint, there's some serious stress added to, up the kinetic chain. And so, with the Mayo Clinic, we really dove into, letting that muscle belly absorb the weight. So when you're wearing kilo gear, you don't feel heavy. So I'll always, when I'm showing people the gear in person, I'll always give them a pair of shorts. Those shorts have 2 pounds in each leg. So when you hold them in your hands, you're like, whoa, like these are really heavy. And as soon as they put them on, they almost forget that it's even there because that muscle belly really absorbs the feeling of the weight itself.
How does that keep the stress off the joint? Because, we've been talking about this for quite some time, and the ligament stress that we're feeling, kids overthrowing, as you said, they're generating more. That's what's putting a lot of the stress on the ligaments. It isn't so much a curveball and how you throw, but the extra strain in throwing harder, swinging harder, stretching those things out. And come to find out not too long ago, our ligaments aren't maturing until we're 26 years old. That has got to be, I think, the factor. And is this something that Kilo Gear had in mind when they started this process? Especially for the younger kids, I should say.
Yeah, it certainly was. It was at the forefront of everything really that we were doing because, a lot of the issues that you see at the pro level are connective tissue issues, right? So, very rarely are guys blowing out pecs or, quads. It's mainly shoulders, knees, all those ligaments and tendons. And so, it seems that in the current climate, everybody's chasing velocity without capacity. Those ligaments and tendons, you take a big league ball player, let's go a little younger, maybe even a high school player or a college player, they're lifting really, really hard and they're building a lot of muscle as they're growing. And the problem is that those ligaments they're not getting any bigger. So you're getting a bigger muscle sitting on top of the same ligament. And so, they just lack that capacity. So that's the delta, and where we live is trying to bridge that gap between, the ligament length, girth of that tendon. We're able to actually, and we've known this through hypertrophy, that you can lengthen and strengthen the girth of that tendon in congruence with the muscle growth. And that's where we're bridging that gap.
Wow. Love that. Well, folks, if you want to learn more about Kilo Gear, go to kilogear.com. Check out the science. It's all there. I went through, read it. I thought it was very interesting. They're open. All the information is there on the website. Jason's going to hang with us a little bit because, of course, he does a lot of training with youth baseball and kids and whatnot. We're going to talk a little youth baseball here as we start this program. And I got Mr. Wiggins here. He's got his teams are getting out there, getting ready. It's that time, and we're going to have a beautiful weekend, boys. Oh, I am looking forward to it. But just to let you know, the press box as we move forward, we're going to be bringing highlights. We're going to be bringing more commentary. We're going to break down big games. We're going to break down some games that happened. One of our cool things that we're looking forward to it. Drew, do you have this queued up? We're going to be starting to do it. So, Dave, you're on the show. You're going to have to be part of this. You're going to have to pick one. So hit them with it. We're going to be giving away some helmet stickers. I love helmet stickers, man. Did you like that?
What did it say?
Helmet sticker.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So you got to be if you see some dude out there getting it done, we gotta give away some helmet stickers, and we're gonna start doing that as of Monday, from the weekend here. So Dave, be looking, see who's
Absolutely.
out there giving out some helmet stickers. I love this stuff.
We're talking for the youth guys or for the high school guys? The helmet stickers.
All of the above.
Any and all. Got it.
Yeah, man.
Got it.
Yeah. We started the helmet stickers with the youth kids last year. That's what we did. We didn't do the high school, but we figured let's do it all across the board. Let's have some fun. I love helmet stickers, man. It's cool. So, youth baseball this year, our live streams, I want to thank Legacy Performance Academy. You can check them out at stllpa.com. They're going to be our title sponsor for all of our youth tournaments. We appreciate that very much and look forward to it. If you're interested in checking out who they are, what they are, their programs, their youth programs, their training programs, go to stllpa.com. You tell them Youth Baseball Midwest sent you. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Tournament's getting underway. Where are your guys going, Dave?
We're on the road to Millington, Tennessee this weekend. My 13U team and then 3 of our 14U teams are all headed down for a PBR deal, kind of like a preseason deal down there. Just a little 3-game guarantee. But yeah, we're excited to getting a house together with a lot of the coaches and parents. And, it's always fun when you bring more than one team because, the kids can kind of hang out in dugouts that aren't necessarily their team, but it's their organization. And it's just a great way to build organizational culture and get people excited for the season ahead.
Absolutely. Now, Jason, I know you don't necessarily have teams. You kind of do some just instruction and whatnot, correct?
Yeah, so after my son graduated high school, I kind of got out of that travel scene and focused more on the development and instruction a little bit. So, but it's I'm still fairly plugged in with all the from the kids that I teach and where they're going and what they're doing and that kind of thing.
So, is Cincinnati as crazy as St. Louis about youth baseball?
Here we are absolutely bonkers about it. I think at one point, and I'm sure that it's gone higher than this, but we had, I think, over 600 teams just in the local area at one time. Obviously, organizations are growing into more and more teams themselves at the same age levels. They're trying to be developmental, and so there's a lot of different facilities around. There's a lot of different. The Reds do a really good job with community funding to put fields together, good tournaments together. I think PG is now involved in some of the stuff that the Reds have. So they've turfed quite a few fields. So giving these guys a really good opportunity to get out there and play, even on the rainy days that we've had lately, they're able to still get out and get their games in. So it's a hot spot for sure.
I enjoyed the ballpark, but it is a nightmare to get into that ballpark. Oh my gosh.
It can be.
Oh, well, we went for the Dodgers.
Mm.
And the guy sitting next to me, he says, I've never seen it this full.
Of course not. You probably, if memory serves me right, and I don't know if I'm right on this, you'd have to tell me because you were there. but I think that they did Ellie De La Cruz bobblehead night against the Dodgers. That could have been the game you were at.
That could have
Did
been.
you go over the summer? Did you go over this summer, Bry? Is that when you went?
No, it was Memorial Weekend. I think it was 2 years ago.
Okay, so I actually went to the Reds Dodgers game in July, and
Okay.
at Great American. Yeah, so I was like, oh wait, maybe we were at the same game.
Did you have the same trouble?
I
Getting
had
in and out
zero
of that
trouble
park?
whatsoever. We were at a hotel. We Ubered, so we really didn't have to worry about driving and parking. We just got out of our Uber and walked right in. So there were no issues on our end. But once again, we didn't have to park,
Yeah.
which could have been the
The
issue
the
for many
the
folks. Sorry.
no, that's all right. Sorry. The parking hack for that stadium is there's an AC hotel, AC by Marriott hotel, just literally right across the street. You valet that thing for 20 or $25 and you leave it there and you just walk across the street and you go. That's the hack. So on your next visit,
There
I'll
you go.
show you that.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah, because my father-in-law lives about 30 minutes from Cincinnati, and it's a great way to go to the ballpark. It's a nice ballpark. It's great.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, enjoyed
It
it.
And I
reminds
mean,
me
if
of
you're a
yours. Yeah.
college
Go ahead, Dave.
if you're a college baseball fan, Cincinnati's an amazing spot to go. I mean, you're taking your high school team there, a youth team for a tournament. You've got U Cincy right there. You got Xavier. You got Northern Kentucky, which isn't too far away. You got some really really good Division One baseball programs right there in that area. And when you play in some of the high school to play on some of those fields, which is always fun for the kids. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good spot.
I liked it. So I know the Cincinnati Flames. Are they still big there?
Yeah. Yeah. They're still rocking and rolling. Absolutely.
And I know our good buddy Matt Shadow runs Midland over there in Cincinnati, and
Yeah, he's really expanded the organization. Has done some things. They threw some turf down on the main field, so he's making some really good headway for those kids, no doubt.
yeah. Who else? Who's another big club? What are some of the big clubs over there?
Cincinnati Baseball Club, CBC, is a big one. I believe Kerry Daniel runs that one. Cincinnati Riverbats are an organization that's been around for a very long time. They're actually in my building. We cohabit the space together. There's full of really good people in that organization. My son played for them and Midland growing up, so those were for. And then you have a lot of good guys doing things on a smaller level. 513 baseballs just good. They're actually partners with us in Kilo Gear, but Patrick and I are good friends. He is really doing some really good faith based, organizational stuff. Like Dave, you talk about traveling together. I think they're taking a similar approach, and just really creating a true organization out of that. So 513 is doing a really good job. I think only 4 teams right now, but he wants to grow it organically and slowly with the right people. And again, I that's really refreshing to me that it's not about the dollar necessarily. It's about really doing things the right way. So he's doing a really good job with that one.
Very good. Dave,
Yeah.
you run into any of those guys?
Oh yeah. Is CBC Marucci Blackhawks? That's a subsect of Cincinnati Baseball Club, right?
Yeah, but still under that
Yeah,
umbrella. Yep, you got it.
they're very good. We ran into them at I think it was 16U down up in Indy. They're very very good. That was a heck of a game under the lights. Had a lot of fun with that one. We run into Ohio Elite. We run into the Cincy Flames.
Mm-hmm.
One that's more of like a national type org, the Ohio Warhawks. They seem to be really big when it like going to Jupiter, taking teams down there. They've had draft picks play for them, guys that are playing in the big leagues now. It's a hotbed for baseball talent there. And when we go to Indy, we run into a lot of Cincinnati area teams just because it's not too far from there. So a lot of respect for those clubs and what they've been able to do development wise.
That's awesome. Guys, when we're talking about picking tournaments and, Jason, just on your side, you're kind of in that central part of the team Country, there it is. Geez, I'll spit it out in a
Mhm.
minute. When you were traveling with your son, where'd they move around to?
Yeah, I think we did a little bit of everything. When we were younger, I think we definitely went down to, I say younger, when we were in that 14, 15 range, we definitely did the Atlanta and the Hoover route. We did Grand Park in Indianapolis. I think we had some teams go down to Branson and do that one. As we got closer and more into that recruiting, stage with those guys, we kind of shied away from Atlanta a little bit. Just in terms of, logistically, at times you would have to stay down there for a week and a half to 2 weeks. And frankly, most of the kids that we had on the team were going to be recruited up north, not down south. And so there got to be a point where, Ball State and similar schools, MAC schools, SEMO, like those kinds of guys, they weren't going to Atlanta. At one point, they were all going. And then, the Grand Park popped up. It made it a little easier to get there. So, we started to lean really heavy into Grand Park. We'd go to the MPL and the ABC, and you would get in there and you'd see every single Big Ten school. All the Ivies were there. More similar schools to what, our guys were going to get recruited by. And, we definitely had some guys that went down to, some JUCOs in Tennessee and went south. But, for us, we felt like the majority of our guys were going to get recruited more in that northern sector. And so, we started to go and stay up here a little bit. And there's, as Dave, just said, there's some really good baseball around here. So there was times where we wouldn't have to leave very often. But I think Atlanta had its advantages for the players when they were younger because we got down there and faced the best. You're facing guys from Puerto Rico, Miami, and Georgia, and and states like that where they are year round. And so we played with the best. We were in it all the time. We never won the WWBA, but we were at the time, and I think that prepped them later on down the road. I think at the 17U level, we had 21 guys on the roster, and 20 went to college to play. So we got people to where they wanted to go, and I think everything had its place at certain times.
Wow, that sounds a lot like you, Dave.
I took the exact same approach. That's wild. I mean, we traveled everywhere at 15U. We had a bunch of overzealous players, parents, and coaches, myself included, and we had a lot of fun. Let me tell you, but we were out of town for most of the summer. 16U, we toned it back a little bit. We still did the WWBA. We got to play under the lights on Sunday night against Wow Factor National, which was electric. I mean, talk about an atmosphere that, getting to be in as a 16-year-old in front of that many schools and radar guns and just on the field with kids like that, you can't match that anywhere here in the Midwest. With it, since 17U, I mean, my guys that were already committed to, D1s or Power Fours, like they didn't need to go south. And then my guys that probably weren't ready to go south. They were going to play baseball in the Midwest. They were going to play in the, further north. They were going to, that's okay, right? It's like getting people to understand and realize that if your son is recruited by a Division II school or a JUCO out of high school, he's one of the best players in the area. Even Denison in Ohio, my goodness, talk about elite D3 baseball. I mean, I think they're number one in the country right now. I think they had 3 guys last year who were in the mid 9s who are now playing Power 4 baseball. So, it's just kind of explaining and educating the parents and the players on kind of the ladder there. And yeah, 15U, let's go have some fun. Let's go challenge ourselves. Let's go get exposure. 16U, let's hone it in a little bit. 17U, let's get offers and let's go where our guys are going to get those offers. So we're in lockstep there, Jason.
Yeah, it was just one of those situations where, I admitted going down to Tennessee and doing the tournaments in Tennessee, and those were great. Seeing, R.A. Dickey's teams out of Texas, and, you put yourself in positions to be challenged, and, I think down the road that pays the dividends.
Yep.
Jason, I want to bring you back on next Monday. I want to hear, you guys are getting into high school ball. I'd love to hear about some high school baseball in Ohio. What's going on there and whatnot, if you don't mind dropping some knowledge on us.
Yeah, I mean, my son was in the GMC Greater Miami Conference down here in Cincinnati. So you have teams like Lakota West High School. It's one of the bigger high schools in the state. That's where he went. Mason High School is another huge powerhouse. They've got some really good coaches over there. There's you see the Molars of the world, St. X. There's some really good high school programs. You get a little bit of everything. When you talk about in conference play, you could see 95 one day and 75 the next. But overall, as a whole, there's some really, really good baseball going on. And I love the high school game in Cincinnati because there's a huge small ball factor. In summer ball, nobody's bunting, everybody's swinging hard. We're going gap to gap. In high school, I think you're forced a little bit to move the baseball a little bit. You see these squeezes going. You see, you even see suicide squeezes going on. So just a little bit more small ball, first and third defense becomes a lot more important. Bunties become important. Things that you don't necessarily get a lot of in the summer is more prominent in school ball. So there's a lot of chatter about high school baseball not being good enough, and should we skip play in high school and just go play in the summer? And it's like, to me, high school baseball has its place too, where you're really well-rounded after you're done with your high school. Assuming you're getting some coaching, and even if it's mid-level coaching, just figuring out how to play the smaller game. And if you're not, you're going to have to defend the smaller game. So inevitably, you're going to get a little bit more well-rounded from a knowledge standpoint playing that high school baseball here.
And for crying out loud, man, let's teach some leadership. I'm just going to go play with these guys. No, how about you learn how to take those teammates and help those guys get better, make the guys around you better. Crying out loud, we're running away from stuff. We're running away from lessons, and that's wrong.
I was talking with a legendary high school coach around here, and it was actually recently, and he was saying, we were having the same conversation about guys not playing high school ball, and he said, the one thing about high school baseball is this is the only time that a lot of these kids will get their name in the newspaper. He said, you're not getting your name in the paper at Graham Park. The Cincinnati Enquirer doesn't care about the summer ball game, at Graham Park. And he said, like a lot of these kids, their parents cut these out and keep the clippings because it's the only time they're going to get recognized in the paper. And, that's a cool thing to look back at, 20 or 30 years later, I think.
Absolutely. All right, Jason. Thanks, man. Appreciate your time tonight. We'll have you back and we'll talk. So, man, take care. Kilogear.com, folks. YBM 10. Get you 10% off. Make sure you go check it out. Thanks, Jason. We'll see you next week.
Guys. Brian, thanks for having me on. Dave, good to meet you.
You too, sir. Thanks.
Take care.
All right, Dave, we're going to jump into some class high school baseball here. And I have been looking at these for quite some time. We're going to start in class 1 because we got to go, right? And
Yes, sir.
Tell me what you know about class 1.
Boy, I'm probably about as much as you, Brian.
Right? We're guessing, folks. We're guessing.
Yeah, we're St. Louis, Charles guys. We just don't have many class 1 schools in our area.
Oh, brother. And this is from last year. You had St. Elizabeth, who won the state championship.
I know about them.
What's that?
St. Elizabeth is very good.
And you know what? They had a lot of seniors, but
Do you have player names on there?
I do. Yeah.
They're brothers. One's a senior this year. He's at 26. He's a pitcher, and he's very, very good. And one should be a sophomore now. So do you see last name 26?
Well, you have a
and
Rankemeyer.
no. This young man is committed to SLU. McKenna.
Oh, Kemna. Brady Kemna.
Eli Kemna.
Yes.
Okay. Not my fault. He's not committed to SLU. Thinking somebody else. Eli Kemna's a very good player.
He had a 1.4 ERA last year, Dave.
Oh, he can flat out pitch. Like he's not going to light up the radar gun and throw it mid 90s, but he'll be up to the upper 80s, and he can flat out pitch. He can spin it. He competes. He's a big reason why they won Class 1 without question.
They got another senior this year, Aiden Otto. He had 10 innings as a junior, had a .68 ERA.
Oh, wow.
They got some arms coming back.
Absolutely. And Kem, I mean, I'm telling you, it's fun to watch Kem the pitch. We a couple times in the summer, and I mean, my talented lineup, like he did very well against them. He's a very good pitcher.
They have another senior or a junior last year, Sam Lukemeyer, had a
Okay.
.89 ERA with 15 and 2/3. I mean, you got three guys coming back from last year that had significant innings and minuscule ERAs. So they lost Gavin.
Yeah.
Was it Gavin Williams, who's at
Well,
UCM doing his
class
thing?
one. Oh, so that young man's at UCM. Didn't he
Yeah.
just throw up some crazy number?
Yes.
Yeah, he was like pitcher of the week or something for UCM. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know he was a freshman. That's even cooler, man. I love it. I love it when freshmen get chances. um, it's Class One baseball, Bry. If you have an ace like Eli Kemna, like that might be all you need. And I hate to say it that way, but to have a big arm at the one level, I think it's a game changer, right? The
Yeah.
the odds of having two or three, which it sounds like they may have with those numbers that you threw out. After talking to Joel Credo about his experience at the Class One level, he's like, "Dude, we saw 75 most times. Like Eli Kemna doesn't throw 75, you know." So it's yeah, that's a good way to start it off right there.
Yeah. So St. Elizabeth ain't going nowhere. You know.
No, no, I think they play a fairly large school schedule as well, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Oh yeah, because they're right.
And
They're just kind of southeast of Kansas City, I think it is.
yeah, yeah, they're close to Columbia in a way. Um, Correct me if I'm wrong. Is Summit Christian? Are they class one or are they class two?
Class
They're
four.
class four. Okay,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
but they're small,
But
so I think they're class four because they keep winning.
yeah, the one that's going to be interesting, they get bumped because of championship factor, Dave, is Faith Christian Academy that was there last year in class one. They're going to be class two this year. But that's going to be interesting because they've got a lot of guys coming back. That's a talented squad. They've got, they were pretty young last year. They had one, two seniors on a team that made the Final Four.
Oh wow, wow, yeah. So they're gonna be. They got everybody coming back.
Exactly. And it's not like they were 25 and 3. They play a pretty decent schedule. They even beat Chillicothe, who won Class 4 last year. There he is. Welcome in, Mitch Thomas.
I'll get there eventually, you guys.
We're heavy into Class 1 baseball right here, bro.
Yes, sir.
I definitely just had a class one experience. My 9U team, that hair that I thought I had is gone. Man, whew. I had to cool down, you guys. That's probably why my face is all red.
We were talking
Welcome
about
to the
some
show,
youth
you guys.
baseball earlier.
So yeah, let me just speak on Eli for a second. I did some Twitter digging. He's going
Yeah.
to MOSO, Missouri Southern State, which is a power D2 there in Joplin. Um, at the PBR Missouri showcase, he was spinning his slider at 28.30. So, like I said, he's got an elite out pitch with that
Yes.
slider. And,
Yeah.
and you're talking a mid upper 80s fastball. And it looks like St. Elizabeth is just full of athletes. Their boys team, um, girls team was in the Final Four for basketball. It just looks like this team probably dominates a lot of sports at the Class One level, and they could
Yeah.
be a fun follow. The St. Elizabeth Hornets.
I think
We, sorry, you guys. We have a lot going on here tonight. Things are wrapping up, so I apologize to any of our fans. I'm not in a quiet setting, so I apologize. I'm trying to do the best I can, Brian.
You're
I want to
doing
be on here
fine.
with you guys because this is something I love to talk about as we're wrapping up, and I am so pumped about high school baseball. So I'm sorry to all your fans
Don't be sorry. You're
and
working,
Dave's.
man.
Okay,
We can hear it.
I'm a
Nah, you're
working
looking
man.
great, Mitch.
Thank you.
Wheatland.
It's because I'm wearing black.
Was 33-5 last year. Again, and this is one of the things that's interesting, Dave, as we're talking, as you're bringing this up. When you look at these, and what I started looking at, you're never going to be senior heavy. You've got to work these positions. You've got to have that freshman. You got to have that sophomore. You got to have those guys that are going to be part of your team and a big part of your team, right?
You absolutely have to. Yeah, you just don't have the numbers. You don't have the depth. You might not even have a JV team. You know, which is cool, which is really cool because these freshmen they get varsity experience right away. They get thrown right into the fire. They may be a talented 14, 15-year old who could probably excel at the JV level here in St. Louis at a class 4 through a class 6, but they're playing class 1 varsity baseball against 18-year-olds. And a lot of the 18-year-olds they're playing against are corn-fed farm boys who are probably bigger, stronger, and more physical in a lot of ways. So you're right out of the frying pan into the fire there, and it's fun for me because I challenge 14U baseball, Mitch. You know how it is, right? Oh man, we play 14U major. That's better than high school. No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't matter what level it is, class 1 through class 6. You're grown men. That's who's on the field, and I feel like those kids get a taste of that right away because they're at a smaller school.
Yeah, I want to add to that because when you talk about being 14U major level and like the GAC specifically, I like to talk about the GACs, and especially with like that major label there. How many guys are actually going to be playing varsity baseball as freshmen?
Very,
And
very few.
they're not going to be. I see so many kids that just they walk in, and if they get lucky, they actually get to play JV baseball. A lot of these freshman programs have these 14U major kids on them, and so going back to this is a unique experience. I thought that in what you were saying, having freshmen play be a big part of your program, um, and how it helps long term. I have a young man that's a freshman at a Division III school who, as a freshman, played varsity baseball, which has kind of helped him mold into being prepared now 18-year-old playing against 22-year-olds. And so that 4-year experience, he didn't know that he was going to go into it and say, I've already gone through this one time. I know what it's like to compete. I have to just kind of get through the first week jitters, stuff like that happens. But then again, he just has to go out and compete, right? And so if he understands his role, it long term it's going to prepare him because he's not going to have those same emotions. They may be a little different as a senior, but he's going to be able to, by the time he's a junior, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the dog in that program. And it still takes time. Even if you're a freshman and you're a stud, it still takes time to be that guy when you're facing 18, 17, 18-year-olds in high school than when you're facing 22-year-olds and you go to, a Division III school. He made a great choice in choosing the university he went to. And I think it's going to help him out tremendously.
One of the cool things about our winter workout tour, we were down with the Missouri Bulls again, Todd Pennington's group, and then Jackson. And one of the cool things with the Missouri Bulls is you see a lot of those kids coming up from Chaffee. They're coming from Valley. And there's one kid that plays with the Missouri Bulls from Bell City. Okay, Bell City's a Class 1 school. This young man is Cale Richardson. And everybody's going to go, who's that? Right? And this kid's got an average exit velo of 94.2. Hard hit 75%, 90% sweet spot in his last
Wow.
look. And the kid is, 6'3", 210 pounds, and he ran a 7.2 60. I'll take that all day long, bro.
So I'm signing that kid up before Dave gets him. Is he closer to me or is he closer to Dave?
Well, where's Bell City? I think
He's
that's
closer
way
to,
south.
well, it's down.
He's
Yeah,
probably
it's way
closer to
south
me,
down
Mitch.
55. I think it is closer to you. I'm going to lose him to you, Dave.
I think
Just as
Pennington's
long
gonna
as we're.
hold on.
Yeah.
I love to see this because being a 14U coach that ran through guys like Carter Shipman, the guys who are now graduating, and seeing that young man play at that level then and to what he's doing right now, you always know who is a guy. Like there's just something different, right? And when I met Shipman for the first time, and small, I think it's a small town, Jackson, small area, and I'm like, where did you find this kid? And that kid walks in right away and just impacts the lineup and the depth. And it's just like, do not sleep on Class 1. If you're playing them in a 3-game series, that's fine. You probably can get by. But they're going to have guys at these levels that can play baseball. And we're seeing it because of the things that you do and, ranking these kids and going all over our state to kind of highlight these players. These are people that I don't talk about because I'm focused on the GACs. It's my backyard. I'm in it. I train in it. And seeing this, it's like, man, there's players everywhere. We just have to do a real good job of tuning into these things.
Mitch, disclaimer.
I got a lot of squirrels here.
Jackson is class 6.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. I just meant small town in general, but does he actually live in the town of Jackson, or does it even matter?
Who's that?
I feel like he's a small.
don't know.
I thought when I was talking to them, I thought they were small. They were a small town crew.
Okay.
That is fair, Dave. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, Jackson, but Jackson's the only really class 6 school down there. And we'll get to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As far as that's concerned. You got Oran, class 1. We're not predicting anything because I ain't got no chance. But there are still some really good teams. And when you look at it, St. Elizabeth, Oran, Wheatland, Green City's been good. Billings over on the southwest side of the state. New Franklin, met that coach. Sorry, coach, we didn't get over to you, but they were good last year. Advance, you ever heard of Advance, Missouri? I hadn't.
I have, because Credo told us about Advance. Apparently they're really good.
Yes.
Yeah, he said they've never felt more prepared for a game, and they Advance was way better than they were. He's like, I told my coaches before the game, we've never had a team more prepared. We're in this game. We're going to win this game. We've never been prepared. We lost 15-0.
Yeah. I mean,
he must have been as prepared as I was for this show. Jackson Class 6 got it.
Atlanta, up north there, pretty good squad. District 13, I like them. So there's all kinds of schools there. Class 1, I see St. Elizabeth being good again. Oran will probably figure something out. I think they still have a couple of dudes. Look, last year, Oran's in the state championship, right? Ryland Mills graduated. Roland Herring and Parker Bryant. Oh, Carson Kern.
Yeah, Ryland
They had
Mills
4 guys.
he was one of the better 25s. Ryland Mills was one of the better 25s in the Boot Heel. He was an impact player. I think he's at Oklahoma, if I'm not mistaken. He's big time.
All right, so moving to Class 2. Listen, man, I'm not so sure Miller, who won the state championship, if you didn't get a chance to watch Dave's final Baseball 101, you need to go check that out. Justin Snyder, the head coach last year at Miller, that was his last year. They won the state championship. It was a fantastic podcast. Kudos to you, Dave. Go ahead.
I was wrong. Ryland Mills was drafted by the Brewers last summer.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
good Ryland Mills is.
I
Sorry.
I knew he was drafted. I didn't say anything because I couldn't remember who he was drafted, so I wasn't going to say it. I knew you'd look it up. That's
Okay.
how good he was.
Yeah.
So, but Miller, I don't know if you caught any of that, but it was a fantastic podcast. Go watch that. Justin Snyder, great. I think Miller, if you got Jace Wilkinson, right?
Yeah, that's a good start.
And I don't see, I was looking at their roster. Oh, that's class 6. Here we go. I was looking at their roster, okay? They graduated quite a few seniors. So it'll be interesting to see, but a lot of the impact players were juniors. And that makes a big difference. So Miller, Eugene Chaffee, Tipton, I'm looking through last year, I'm looking at these rosters. They graduated some seniors. Chaffee has 1 senior and 12 juniors this year. Tipton, who was in the Final Four, 2 seniors, 7 juniors. Miller will have 8 seniors on the squad this year. All those kids that got all that experience, I think Miller's going to be tough. Jace Wilkinson leading that team. It's going to be brutal. I think they're going to be
Yeah.
tough to beat again. So
I'm always
that. Go
I
ahead.
always think about Tipton being because I hunt, and that's a great place to hunt geese at, is up in that area. And again, just seeing just how it's always interesting on how small towns look at their sports and their high schools, and then even if they only have 5,000 people in that town, there seems like there's always a gathering for the athletes, and maybe not always in baseball. You see baseball stadiums that aren't always filled, but just in general, sports seems to be celebrated in these small towns, and so I think it's a unique experience. And again, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face, I guess. We cannot sleep on small town people because they're still able to get the information that they want, the train. They can go to all these showcases. They can fill in with these teams. The internet has allowed us to find these people much better than we have in the before, where obviously you needed a newspaper clipping back when I played to find out who was who, and kind of guys at the class 1 and 2 level got looked over, and that doesn't happen anymore. We have so much information available to us. And I'm telling you guys, when you have a guy that and it's very different in how they run their tournament, he can run you to a state final, and that's kind of what you see with Tipton and Chaffee. Typically always has a good group. At least they have since my daughter was in high school, and we had some people down in Scott City. Those teams have always done well.
They got a junior, Jordan Essner, who is as a sophomore last year. Check this out. Where is this at? There he is. 49 innings pitched, a .71 ERA as a sophomore. So once you get there, you're going to be just fine. That's why I said the impact players, I think Chaffee is going to be just fine. I don't think there's going to be any issues at all whatsoever with this squad. And that's what I mean. These guys stay there. Here's another one, Hartville. I had to look up where Hartville was. They were 15-10 last year, and they got a kid coming back who's going to be a senior, Augustus Sinning, Sinning, 85-mile-an-hour fastball, average. Caught his act. I didn't know he'd been in a PBR event. East Carter, way down south. Brady Smith. You've heard of Brady Smith. He's going to be a handful to deal with it. So that's going to make East Carter a much better ball club. But you've got Maysville coming back.
Smith?
What's that?
Have you seen Brady Smith throw? Brady Smith.
Oh yeah.
He's going to Wichita State. Yeah.
Yeah.
93, 94 at his PBR day.
Yep.
That's a nice number one to have in a class.
Exactly. And he can pitch. That's the thing about Brady. Brady
Yeah.
can pitch. He's got great pitch ability. He's in the strike zone, and that is a legit 90-mile-an-hour fastball. So you got
Absolutely.
that, you're in good shape. And like I said, I think you're going to get Faith Christian Academy, Evan Schmidt, the junior there. 7 seniors coming back, 2 juniors. They were in the Final Four in Class 1. They're going to get bumped. I think they could make a good run. Ash Grove, the Pirates down there in southwest Missouri. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, they went undefeated and won the state championship. They're going to be tough again. Tyler Mesley. They got a sophomore named Jaden Shorter. Purdy, who is a perennial powerhouse down there. 5 seniors, 5 juniors back. That's going to be a good one. Iberia, the Rangers. Coach Vinson was the coach of the year, I think, a couple of years ago in the Final Four. Class 2, up and down. New Heights, West Strand, Silex. Silex is just up the road here, right? On, what is that? Heading toward 61.
4061. Yep.
Yep.
Just about 15 miles north of Troy, maybe a little less.
Exactly. So, solid team there. Class 2 is going to be good. Valley Catholic, the powerhouse down there in Southeastern. They've got 1 senior. They got 12 juniors. They're young. It'll be interesting to see how they do. They lost 3 games last year. I thought they were going to go a little further, but
Chaffee upset him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a little look at Class 2. We'll continue to grow this. We'll continue to watch these teams, letting folks know what's going on. Let's see. Class 3, guys. Now, Class 3, I want to give a shout out. We're hopefully have them on next week after or the week before the game. Anyway, drove over to Westphalia, Fatima High School. Coach Tyler Van Gerpen. Fatima won the state championship. You got Blake Cleathermos, Colton Schulin coming back as seniors, lead this team. They graduated a lot of kids, but they've got some young talent. Bryce Weberg, Tony Hackman, Tommy Heisler. We saw these kids. I stuck around and watched their practice. They had a scrimmage. They got 4 really solid arms. And they have their starting catcher back in Schulin. This team, they're going to compete again. We'll see how far they go because they've got some young guys on that side. But how hard is it to repeat, Dave?
It's hard. It's not easy, but when you have four good arms, I mean, that's usually the teams that win it all at the end have good arms. They have guys that can go out there and beat anybody. Fatima turned out Austin Trusser, who's with the Mets now, who went to Mizzou out of high school and got drafted by the Mets. I mean, they're no strangers to having elite arms. It's hard to. I mean, look at Valley, a perennial contender, and they get upset, in a game that everybody thinks they're going to win. So, yeah, it's that's why high school playoffs are fun.
Exactly. Fairgrove's another one. Gavin Thomason. Here's a pitcher to watch, a junior. This young man, it's going to make Fairgrove very tough again. They lost to Fatima. I think it was 2-1 in the championship. 2-0, 2-0. That was the championship game. That's a dandy, and it was a good game.
And he's only a junior, and he's a 2-way going to Most State. So I mean, he's good on the mound, but he can freaking swing it. Like, he can absolutely hit. So definitely a huge piece for them.
So you've run into him, Dave.
We have. Yeah, we absolutely have.
I love it. You can tell he's like, oh, man. We couldn't get that guy out.
Not an easy out. Not an easy out. If Vince
Oh,
is recruiting
mercy.
him to hit in his lineup, you know he can hit.
I don't know as much about Portageville coming back. Class 3 there. Portageville, they were 24-9, got in there. But again, it's that they had quite a few seniors on the squad. Holden is the one, guys, that I think is going to be interesting. They have a senior pitcher, Wesley Brown. He's mid-80s fastball. He'll be back for this squad, and Holden was pretty young. They had some seniors, but a lot of their guys, there's a sophomore, hit 333 for them. Wesley Brown, not only did he pitch well, but he hit 348. And Justin Brown looks like it's probably a twin brother or brother from another mother. I don't know. He'll be back. They did graduate a lot of seniors. And so that'll be interesting to see how Holden does that. But they got some guys on the mound. But Wesley Brown had 56 innings pitched, had a .38 ERA. Mitch, would you like to have that guy on your team?
I would like to have the .38, .83, the 1.83, the 1.38. So 100%. Would love to have that guy on the team.
Right?
I mean, and I'm an offensive-minded person, but you're seeing at how deep these pitching staffs are what's getting them and winning these events. Like whether they're the leadoff classics that we're going to see this weekend or opening days, or we're getting into district play and moving on. It's elite arms and defense that are getting folks to state. I know that you have to score runs to win, but we're not seeing 9-7 ball games like I felt like we had when I was going through districts, because we saw 82 and 83 was the guys that we were calling legit back then. And you had your elite arm literally was 5 guys that might touch upper 8s, and the Steve Colliers and of the world that might hit 90, 91, that was getting second round, first round draft picks, Drew Prater, guys like that I played against, Ryan Model, Clemson guy. These guys were 8s, upper 8s. And it's such a wild, I think it's amazing what we're seeing levels of play with the ability that these young people have in today's game. So yeah, .38, that plays anywhere. It doesn't matter. Like, most guys are unlucky and 8 threes, 1.0s. When you're a dog, you get unlucky because you only pitch 3 or 4 innings. So yeah, to have that many innings and have that kind of ERA, I'm in.
I tell you, that to me is a huge impact. Here's the thing. Let's finish this up. You got Holden. Now listen, Class 3, I'm looking forward to this one. We're going to see Valley Park this weekend. Our opening day tomorrow, folks. We're leaving first thing in the morning. We're heading down to Willard, but we're coming back, and on Friday we're going to be at Carshield Field for the St. Louis Patriots Invitational. We're going to get to see Warrenton take on Valley Park. Will Geary's over at Lindenwood doing his thing as starting as a freshman, which is pretty impressive. And I'm going to welcome in here head coach at Willard, Scott McGee. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Doing well. Dave, you got to jump, don't you, buddy?
Yeah, Scott can take my place. It worked out perfectly.
Good luck to you this year, Coach. Be following you. It'll be fun.
Thank you, Coach. Hey, same to you, sir. Same to you.
Dave, we'll be talking to you, buddy. Have a good rest of your night.
See you guys.
But we're finishing up a little bit of Class 3 here, Coach. And talking about Valley Park here, we're going to see them on Friday at Carshield against Warrenton. And we could see them against Carter Martin, Mitch. That'd be an interesting challenge for a Class 3 school, getting to see that big-time arm.
Big time slider.
Yeah.
If you ever bring that kid's name up, I'm only going to talk about his slider because it is a plus pitch, and maybe it's cold. It's not. It's going to be like 80 something, but that his secondary stuff is it is elite. That is an elite level pitch.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
slider.
Carter's the
So
real deal.
I would go watch. I'd go watch him pitch just to be able to throw that slider. I don't know if he's going to throw it early on like that, but I can't wait to catch a game late in the season when he feels like he's in shape and he's getting that 80 to mark and that sharp. That's he's got a real feel for that pitch, and I'm gonna be that guy that's gonna hype that man's secondary up, and I don't do that often because I
Oh,
can't hit it.
mercy.
Still
Coach,
probably
down
can't
your
hit
neck
it.
of the woods, Fairgrove, Holden, are they going to be pretty good again this year?
Yeah, Fairgrove's going to be really tough. They've got a junior that's committed to Missouri State, center fielder and pitcher. Got really good stuff. Just a phenomenal athlete. He's probably more, projectable than most kids are. So, Fairgrove's got kind of they're a small school that's good at every sport, and everybody plays all three sports. It's just a pretty cool sports community. So, Fairgrove's definitely going to be legit down here in this area.
Yeah. I figured that could be the case. Clever, what are you seeing out of Clever?
Yeah, kind of a new coach situation, playing some young guys. I think Clever will be solid, but I don't know that they're probably a Final Four type team right away. But you know how it is. I mean, you get hot at the right time, anybody can get there, especially at that small school level where you don't have to have a 90-mile-an-hour arm like you do in Class 6. And so if some guys develop over the course of the year, then you can definitely get there.
Talk to us about last one here for you, Licking. Coach Harv Antler.
Yeah, Harv Antel does a great job. His kids could really play, and he does some really good things. What's cool about Licking is they play a really tough schedule. They open up with Rogersville tomorrow. They'll play Class 5 and 6 schools, so don't be confused by their record. Licking also has like a huge indoor facility that is like in their town, and their town has like 4 other businesses. So the whole baseball team's hitting pretty much year round. So it's that helps a tremendous amount. But Harv does a great job. His assistant has taken over. There's just a lot of good people in Licking, and that baseball community's been good forever.
Wow, there you go. To finish this off, I think Lone Jack's going to Luke Throgmorton. Don't sleep on them. I know the young man. Ethan. I'm trying to remember Ethan's last name. Oh gosh. Oh well. There you go. How about that? Brain. Luke Throgmorton's going to be good for them. Macon's going to be tough again. I think Macon's going to be a good squad in Class 3. Ryder Lewis, Skylar Anderson. You got Pembroke Hill, going to be good again. Scott City, they're going to retool again. That's always a good powerhouse down there. Are you familiar with Scott City down there, Mitch?
Yeah, just from having some ties with families that have played for me in the past, I know that they're, just on the outskirts, about 8 miles south of Cape. And so, some of those people kind of move out of Cape and move into that town. So they might catch a guy, moving kind of out of Cape Girardeau down there that would really help that program. When I was kind of dealing with Scott City, more often going down there, football, all of the sports. It's another one of those small towns that just kind of rally around the group. And even if they're a 500 ball club, you feel like that they're going to be competitive. The coaching staffs have stuck around. I haven't followed up to see if the same coaches are there. But culture is built, and that longevity is there. I think people want to go play for coaches like that. And so, I think that's what the lure that I feel like just talking about small town baseball or sports in general is you don't have turnover. And so culture starts to get built from, the youth ages on up. And you can do that in towns like Scott City because they have a good recreational league. They have the kids that can play, they can move, to Cape and play summer baseball or, whatever. And so I just we'll see what Scott City does. They're typically competitive, but I mean they're probably something similar to Macon.
Yeah, I can see that. Finishing up, Mid Buchanan, East Prairie, Luther North, Osar Tate. He's a dude. Small, but he's a dude, right?
He's not going to tell you that he's small. I know Osar very well, and a few of the kids that over there that are Luther North, and Earl is always going to have them guys ready to go. There's one thing I could tell you about Coach Green. He will run a great practice. I think he runs good practices, and I think that he'll have that team prepared. It's just going to be what is he going to have available to him with the younger kids that are going to be able, to help him. But he's recruited some kids. He got, he's probably got some freshmen that are coming in that are part of his 14U team that he had with USA Prime. They're probably going to have a good feel for his coaching style and being prepared to compete. But Osar's the kind of guy that, like, if I don't know if he'll pitch, but he can, and without like being a pitcher, he's like mid to upper eights, and he just lets it eat. I don't know if he has a breaking ball. I think he calls it, says he has a slider, but it's like, let me just throw you a cutter, a ball that looks like a small dot or something like that. I will also say that he did get one of the furthest baseballs hit off of him by a young man that got drafted last year. But he is a dude that will compete at a high level against you. He does not like losing. So I think he's going to be the glue for that group. I love that kid. He's well mannered. A great human. I hope that he does well for that group and can rally those cats around him to do what Luther North can do. They can shock some people.
27, Braxton Swearinger at Ava. How big of an impact will he make, and where do you see Ava?
Yeah, Ava's going to be good. One of the struggles that Ava has is, like, a lot of these smaller towns, they're so far from everything that it's tough to get people to come down there and play. And so that makes it really, really tough. But I do know that they played in a jamboree just this past weekend and beat some Class 5 schools in their jamboree. So Ava's going to be tough. It's a baseball community, it's a sports community, so that will help considerably.
Yeah. All right, guys. Class 3 done. All right. We're going to move to Class 4. We're going to reveal our Class 4 rankings here. And I'm going to start. And I want to say, first and foremost, this segment is presented by Prime Sports. Prime Sports Midwest, the official gear provider of youth baseball Midwest. Appreciate what they do for us, and we're going to have a lot of fun with Prime Sports again this year. But at number 20, I'm going to start at the low side. I got the Fulton Hornets down there again. At number 19, which now, there's going to be some disclaimers here as Coach McGee can tell you. But I put some asterisks next to this. It looks like Westminster is finally going to go back down to their class because they've had championship factor for points for, 10 years? And because they won so much, they won 4 in a row, and then they kept winning after that. They won some districts and points, and so they're finally going back down. It'll be interesting to see. I think they should be Class 4 again. I got Westminster at 19. At 18, St. Charles West. At 17, Mexico. At 16, Excelsior Springs. Coach, I'll give you a first hack here. What do you think of those?
Yeah, I don't know as much about some of those, but I do know about Excelsior Springs. New coach this year, so things could change a little bit. But full turf baseball field, they play 36 games every year. They play Class 5 and 6 schools every year. They are always so good on offense. And when I was talking to their coach, he said, it really is pretty simple. I was talking to guys, and they were like, Coach, we just aren't going to be good at offense if we don't hit enough. We need to hit more often. And he's like, I just started tracking our swings, and we're taking 100 swings a day for every kid. And he told me this a few years ago. He's like, and all of a sudden we got good at offense. He's like, it's not a secret. You got to hit more if you want to be good at hitting. And Excelsior's that way. They play in a smaller park. They have good athletes, and they good wrestling program. They get a lot of kids out for a Class 4 school, and so for them to come out and do that, it's pretty cool to watch. Actually, their coach just took the Northwood Christian job, which is a good Class 1 or 2 school, and he'll do a good job there. So it's pretty cool to see them. But Excelsior, I know quite a bit about, and they're going to be a very good offensive ball club again.
Yeah, Northland Christian is 3 years old. They've been in the district championship game against Faith Christian Academy for the last like 2 or 3 years. Both those teams solid. They are playing one-run ball games. Northland's going to benefit from Faith Christian going up. So, Mitch, your buddy Nuru over there, St. Charles West. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm always going to have some love for Nuru, and I think you have them kind of right where they needs to be, just because of what they lost from a year ago, and how do you replace? And I know there's going to be some freshmen that are kind of stepping in some roles, and I think it's going to actually move some of the defense around a little bit, and moving guys in maybe a position where they don't lose so much. Because the catcher that they may have had in place before may be a better outfielder, but they didn't have a catcher. So they had to lose a little bit there. But now they may gain a little bit more or stay there. But now they're not missing so much in the outfield. And I think that's the always going to be the key for Coach Allen over there, is how he can do that. And then naturally health. I think last year we had a great start with Brody. He had done a really nice job, left-handed pitcher for them. He had started the season off really well, was a little beat up towards the end of the year, and was going to see how his off season was for him, and see if he can come back. And so I don't know who that guy is going to be for Nuru this year and stepping up, but I know one thing, that Coach Allen will have those guys, should have them ready to play.
As always, absolutely. Mexico's an interesting one to me, right there in that class, or the District 7, Moberly, Boonville. It's going to be interesting. I think, we'll see if they make that next step. Drew DeMint, we'll see if he can lead that squad. They've been close. So next up, though, at 15 is that group, Moberly, the Spartans, Coach Boyer's squad there. In the 14 hole is the Savannah Savages. You just got to say it that way, man. That's one of the best mascot names in the history of baseball. I love that. Savages. You like that? That was pretty cool. I did that pretty good. Thank you. Number 13, Springfield Catholic. And here's another asterisk one. Coach, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they're moving back down to Class 4. Some of their championship factor points are falling off, right?
They are. So they'll be back down to Class 4. They made it to a state championship, and then they got bumped up for a few years, and so now they're going back down. Going to be really good. Their catcher, Nate Lask, is going to Angelo State. They have a guy that was a early commit to a D1 named Jack Smith. Was committed to Mizzou originally. I'm not sure exactly where that stands. He had Tommy John, was out all of last year as a sophomore, so now he'll be back, and he's going to be a huge help to them. Catholic I think they went 17-10 last year and played a Class 5/6 schedule. Now they'll be back down to a Class 4 type schedule, and they're going to be really tough. Probably going to be in a district with Rogersville, so that's going to be really good to see how that kind of works out. But they've got a center fielder named Sam Boster, who's about 6 foot, 180, super athletic. He looks like a college football player. He'll be in center field hitting leadoff. He's a good player. So, and the Catholic, you never know with them, because they have so many freshmen that are ready to compete at the varsity level right away. And I think that'll be the case again this year. So they returned 7 starters and they infused some freshman talent. I think they're probably the group that's underrated down here in Southwest Missouri going forward.
Okay, there you go. Coach Spitz, really like him. He'll get those guys ready to play. And we do have a mistake, Mitch, or not Mitch, but Drew told me. So I'm sorry, we'll fix that. If you see that on the screen and it's wrong, it's my fault. I messed it up. There you go.
That's right. The rankings always change. You get late intel and the rankings move around. I understand.
That's it, man. At number 12, Orchard Farm, and at number 11, Boonville. Orchard Farm. If those three arms are working, they've got Blake Hallra behind the plate. This team could be very dangerous in Class 4. They score runs. I think Coach Sugar is the right guy in that place. This team is right there, Mitch, to break through.
Yeah, and they've been chasing that for the last couple of years. I mean, the job that Sugar has done of demanding, again, going back to culture and where he come from, the experiences that he had. When he walked in there, he immediately set it, right, the standard. And the boys didn't have workouts. They didn't have 6 a.m.s and then be impacted if they didn't show up. Like, there was a demand that he had that I think is going to help that program. The big key for me when I think about it, again, is going to be the health of that program. Is Rosenberg going to be that guy? But is Howrah going to recover from his sophomore slump, if you will? And is he going to have the year that we expect him to have, for the farm? And again, it's funny that it feels like it's a big school in a big town, but it's still a really small knit community that I think that rallies around. Their basketball team's really good. Their football team was. I think just having teams like that in your school, you want to be a part of that, and the fun that the how the school spirit is for basketball and football. And I know that those are like typical universities and stuff like that, your revenue sports, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But the community as a whole really likes its sports because it's still on the outskirts of St. Charles County. And I'm excited for you. Obviously, know the reason why I'm excited is because of fish. But again, they got some freshmen coming in that I think is going to help. They're going to have to provide a few things for them. They lose some nice players, but again, what's Rosenberg going to do? Like that kid. And, I've coached Titus for 4 years, so there's obviously some bias there. He's going to slap the baseball around. He's going to have a high on-base percentage for you. He's probably going to strike out. He's not going to hit for a lot of doubles, but he's going to get on, create havoc, good base runner. And you like that at the top of your lineup with Blake coming out, and Brady Rosenberg behind him. And you got Vocal. There's some guys over there that are solid. I really like that group, and I think it's going to challenge. I think they're going to challenge for their conference.
Yeah, agreed. Boonville got some bad news. Chase Chamberlain is going to be missing some time. I got a chance to talk with Coach Simpson, but I don't think that's tough. That's a tough loss. They're still got some talent. That'll be interesting to see how they can get along and hopefully get him back for the postseason. We'll see what happens. Seneca. I'll tell you, Coach. What's that?
Can I add real quick just about Boonville?
Yeah.
I went to a fight. This is so random. Sorry, I know I'm taking time on the show, but Boonville, there's a 76 Fireworks is up there, and so we do this big event up there. And that young man was at the event farting around with like some wiffle ball and stuff like that. And naturally, I migrate to that kind of stuff, and to watch the people of that community like their top players. I can see why there's excitement about Boonville. Is just how, again, goes back to community. Man, those kids love their top guys. I'm talking about the 10, 12-year-old kids that are invested, and those kids giving back to youth sports, the youth level. I think holds some value long term.
Yeah.
Shout out to the
Absolutely.
Boonville kids for being a part of messing around with, wiffle ball and hanging out with the youth.
At number 10, we got the Seneca Indians. At number 9, Benton, the Cardinals. At number 8, St. Michael the Archangel. Number 7, Sullivan coming back. And at number 6, Nevada. Coach, Seneca and Nevada. Seneca, I think, is going to be really good.
Yes, they are. They got Jagger Wilson, who's committed to OU. Really good athlete with a big time arm. One of Seneca's problems is they're so far away from everything that it's tough for them to get a real schedule at times. And there's only a couple Class 5 and 6 schools near them. So that makes their scheduling a little bit tough. But Coach Eustace does a great job down there. I think he took over for his dad a few years ago. Like that, every coach there seems like it's been a Eustace. And so it's been good to see that. And so Seneca's going to be really, really tough again. And then Nevada, another one that, they've had the Mink League team down there with the Nevada Griffins. Nevada's a huge baseball community, and so it's been really cool to watch that. Nevada's going to be really good offensively. You probably just saw the other day. I know Nevada alum is hitting 3-hole for Nebraska in Case Sanderson. So that just kind of speaks to the depth of their program over the last couple decades.
They just kind of seem to reload.
Absolutely, they do. And we actually played Benton last year, and the older Coy was a senior, and he went on plays Division I baseball. But now there's a younger Coy who's a freshman, and I think he's a big time guy. He's in PBRs. He may be the number one. He's one of the top 5 ranked players in the state in that club. That's really, really cool.
Carson Coy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's going to be good. St. Michael the Archangel, it's going to be interesting to watch him. Maverick Cure, Colston Lyon, the juniors, JT Moorhead. They're going to be, can they break through? And the problem is, I'm going to come back to this with them, is going to be tough because they're in that district with Summit Christian. And that's always tough. But Sullivan, Ian Whitson, they got into 3rd place last year. The Sullivan Eagles, they're bringing back some guys. I know they lost the big-time arm and Drake Gower, but Mitchell Garner coming back, Chase Blue, Raiden Red, Landon Doza, Malin Foster. I think Sullivan is going to be another tough out in Class 4. That's why we got them at 7. I don't think they're going anywhere. So there you go. And I want to get to our top 5 here. So we can get to 5 and 6. Southern Boone at number 5. Duchesne, the Pioneers at number 4. Number 3, Blair Oaks. Number 2, Summit Christian. And number 1, Logan Rogersville. And I'll be honest with you. Between those two, I think it's 1A and 1B. I don't think there's much difference between these two teams, Coach.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. It's 2 baseball communities that take it really seriously. Both have great coaches. John Gage does a great job at Summit Christian. And, of course, I coached with Casey Lettle for a long time. I think he's a top coach in the state. And then Southern Boone, it'd be hard to say Brian Ash wouldn't be in that exact same conversation. And so, the top 5, I think you have it exactly right for how it should be today. But I wouldn't be surprised if some other people don't emerge. One of the things that's going to be interesting about Rogersville, so they're playing in the Final Four this weekend in basketball. They got Vashon Friday at noon. Rogersville, so their best players going to Indiana. They have 2 other big time players, but like players 4 through 9 in their basketball rotation are their baseball team also, and so they're going to have to miss some games here early, and then it's going to be a rush to get them back. And I know how competitive those guys are. If you guys know Jack Sutherland, if you guys know Cooper Wagner, if you guys know those guys, they're going to be in such a rush to get back that will they put a little too much pressure on themselves early? So don't be surprised if you don't look up and see Raj is 7 and 5 and write them off. Don't do that because they're going to be really good by when it matters. And Nate Aikens on the mound. really kind of emerged. He's always been a guy that's got stuff over command. His command down the stretch last year was really, really good. Wagner is now a sophomore and has really stepped up his ability to throw strikes as well. So I'm really high on what Rogersville has. They've got a catcher injury right now. Tegan Trent, who's going to Bellevue, is dealing with a wrist issue, and so I'm not sure he's going to be full go here early in the season. But when he gets back, he's another huge part of what they do, and I think Raj is going to be right there in contention, obviously.
Mitch, Duchenne, Mike Hollander, this group, they won the state championship in Class 3 2 years ago. They won the district championship last year in Class 4. They're back here again. They get TJ Greasy back. I think this team could maybe even punch a little further. They get Jackson Nicodime back, TJ Greasy. They got a 1-2 punch that I think is going to be very tough to beat.
It's always interesting with a school like that, kind of being a private school, right, in a mix of everything. And the thing that I always think like the X factor is going to be the coach, right? And Coach Hollander, again, I like the way he goes about his business. I like that the culture of these seniors are starting to trickle down, because now I'm the 14-year-olds that are the 8th graders from last year that we coached up that are freshmen there now. There's an impact that's being by these seniors on these young people. I don't know if all those freshmen will be there, but I like the leadership quality. They've been there before. They understand what it was like. They may have fell short last year. How motivated are they? Did they rally around each other in the off season, with their clubs or whoever they may have trained with? Because I know at 18U it's kind of a little bit different in our town. But Coach Mike is the wild card, and he's a guy like, for me, it's like what Sugar is to Orchard Farm, and I think he's going to have that team no matter what. Having a guy like TJ and then Nicodime, that's there we go. That's a great start. They're going to hit. But I think I always have this coaching fraternity thing, and I don't think these teams get put in these rankings on accident. I don't think that you find in the Class 4 that you have all this talent in the world in Class 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's people want to be a part of that. They want to go there because of Coach Hollander. So to me, I just think that that's what he represents, and that's the culture of his program. And I'm excited for Coach to see if he can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just an FYI, folks, we will have Blair Oaks, we will have Duchenne, we will have probably Southern Boone, we will have Sullivan, we will have Booneville, we will have Orchard Farm, we will have St. Charles West, all on the channel this year with some baseball, plus the St. Louis Patriots. We're going to have Eldon as well, the Mustangs, taking on Fatima. That's in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to it, man. We got a good lineup for you on some baseball. Let's get to Class 5. Near and dear to Coach McGee's heart here. At number 20, I did this. You probably could have put some other teams here. I went Parkway Central. MICDS, here's another asterisk. I think MICDS is going up to Class 5. That's been the hubbub, looking around with the championship points. At number 18, the Hillsboro Hawks. 17, my boys from Zumwalt East, the Lions. Go Lions. I am a homer. At number 16, Washington. The Blue Jays, Coach Dan Goff. Who wants to fire off first?
I'll let Coach Thomas go.
Well, you know how much I love Coach Hill, and he just announced his captains, which is Travis, his son, heading to Truman, and then Dominic. And Dominic looks like a stud that Dominic is. You know how I feel about my catchers, and that post that he had on Twitter, and this is what I'm going to give you about East, because that dude looked like he had put on some muscle.
Yeah.
And he's already a guy that you kind of fear in that lineup. And so, it always comes down to who's going to replace your arms that you lost, and Carter and Hollingsworth. And, to me, I feel like that's a big loss. And who's going to fill that role? What youngster is going to be a sophomore that's going to fill Pandolfo's role? And that's what I love about, the mix, because he's a big school, but he's still kind of not, and he doesn't have a 25-man roster, and so it's again, I like East because I know these kids and they work out in my space, and we've had relationships with these guys for a long time, played against them because obviously my 17-18 year group played against Coach Hill numerous times. I still have yet to beat him. For whatever reason, I've yet to be competitive because he can outcoach me after the fourth inning. And so I'm not sleeping on that guy. I'm not as high on Washington as others, but I will tell you that there's a lot of people that are telling me that I'm sleeping on some cats, and I'm going to do the wait and see, and kind of prove me wrong. I just felt like what we saw last year, there was not a whole lot of connection. I do know that Coach Goff is going to get them prepared. I do like them as a coach. And maybe I caught him on a bad day, but I just don't see enough for them to be, kind of in that spot.
I don't know if Muroff has been cleared. I haven't heard. I know he transferred from CBC. So that would be huge with him and Vetter. If that's the case. Coach?
Yeah, I don't know enough about him. We did face Vetter last summer, and he's got really good stuff. Iffy command at times.
Yes.
And I will also say, when you get to the postseason, if you have iffy command, it usually turns bad. I really feel like command matters when you get to the postseason. I love stuff. I mean, we track velocity, spin rates. I love all that stuff. But if you're iffy on command in the biggest moments, it feels like their command gets a little bit worse. I think even good command guys get a little bit worse in those biggest moments. And so that's what you always worry about with them. Washington's kind of in that area where they could play great schedules and they could play terrible schedules. They're kind of in a weird spot there geographically, but I know that year in, year out, they're always a good team. I don't know enough about the guys outside of Vetter, and we play Adidas quite a bit in the summer, so I know just from that stuff.
They get Colton Carrier back, which I think is interesting. He was hurt last year, so I think that'll be an interesting scenario there. If they get the pitching, with all that, and from what I've heard, Vetter has gotten better in his command and his approach and things like that. So that's why I have him at 16. It is a wait and see, but I think the talent is there. We'll see what happens when the games start. And I like Coach Goff. Hillsboro, the Partney boys, Jackson Marks, they have been battling it out with Festus for the last however many years. Can they beat Festus? That will be interesting. But here's the thing. We were just down in Cape Girardeau at Central. Coach Steve Williams, who went down there, is now – Central looked pretty good. They got some athletes. District 1 is shaping up with Farmington, Cape Central, Hillsboro, Festus. I know I'm missing somebody. DeSoto even. I mean, District 1's shaping up to be a tough district in Class 5, guys. Parkway Central, they got a lot of young guys, and I couldn't help it. I think those young guys are really good. I saw them almost beat Oakville last year in Oakville. They lost 3-2, and the Colin Applebaum kid, he is faux real. And Carter Fleck, sophomore, he was playing center field. He hits the crap out of the ball. I like this team. We'll see how far they get. But, all right, moving on. 15, Farmington. 14, Union. 13, Carl Junction. At 12, Festus. And at 11, St. Pius X. Coach, I'm going to let you go with Carl Junction here. We talked a lot about this through this process. Let's brand new coach, correct? Schafitzel.
Yes.
Did I pronounce that
Schafitzel.
correct? Schafitzel.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
Schafitzel. Yes. So number one's going to Pitt State. I think the number two, well, their best hitter's going to Pitt State as well. I think their number two's going to Crowder. Their number three's going to Allen County. It's a senior group that has played together for quite a while. They Some of them started as freshmen, the rest started as sophomores. They're all seniors now. Um, the question has just been, can their offense keep up with their pitching? Because their pitching has been really good. Offensively, there's been a little too much swing and miss. Brody Pant, who hits leadoff for them, hit 7 bombs as a sophomore. He's a really good athlete. He's their best basketball player as well, and he's going to Pitt State. Like I said, really good player. The rest of the lineup has been up and down. They bring in a new coach in Brant Schafitzel, who is maybe the most patient hitter in the country in Division II baseball a few years ago. I think he broke the on-base record at Drury. And so it's going to be good to see how he's able to meld that group together. Because I do think that they will be improved in those areas. They've got some question marks as far as things like catching. Some question marks at some of their positions, but their best 6 guys can really, really play. And there's a chance they're in a district with Webb, Willard, and Marshfield. So that could be 4 top 12 or 13 teams in the same district. I don't know how the districts will shake out. I just know with some of the movement, we're going to see some weird things there with the championship factor. So I'm really high on Carl Junction. I think they'll be I know I kind of advocated for them to keep moving up, and I still wouldn't be surprised over 13 isn't too low.
Ooh, there you go. Okay. All right. Festus is going to be interesting. Jackson Smith back. Cale Schaumburg. I want to keep moving here a little bit because we're time a little bit. But at number 10, Smithville. Number 9, Kearney. Number 8. Now, this is another one. We'll see. We're still waiting on some. We'll know Friday morning at 7 a.m. I'm going to get up Friday morning and look at it as soon as possible at the district assignments. So, but it looks like Lebanon could move back down to Class 5. DeSmet, the same championship factor points coming off. I have them at number 7. And number 6, St. Dominic. Mitch, your thoughts on St. Dominic? Do I have them high enough?
I think that you probably have them in the right spot. I think even with losing kind of the senior leadership on the bump last year, I think they're going to replace it with some kids that had worked real hard this offseason to get a little bit better. There's a couple kids that are actually going down that might pitch in Noah Price. He might pitch down there at Drury. He's a tall, lanky kid that's going to help him. We have Alex Fields. He has worked his tail off going from upper 7s to being in the upper 8s over the last 7-8 months. And he's going to get the start against Howell. He worked his tail off for that start, and Coach Kai is giving that to him because of his work ethic. And again, if you can rally around that kind of, that the team might rally around something like that and go, if we work hard, we're going to get rewarded. And if they have that team's dangerous. You got Trineski, who's a sophomore now, who has a year under his belt. Jackson's going to be a little bit of a player for them. You got some young guys, some sophomores that should sprinkle in, but I think I don't know much how deep they are as a senior club, but I do think that they have quite a few seniors, and we see at this level that the seniors that have 3 years of experience or more are really helping their teams get over some of the playoff over the playoff hurdles.
Yeah.
I do think that they're going to end up, because of their path, they have a good chance of kind of putting themselves into being a state mix.
AJ Flam, Cooper Montgomery, Jake Berger. Quick story on Jake Berger. We interviewed him when he was 11 years old. He hit his first home run out of the park. Those things are cool to me, man. As great family, the Berger family. Shout out to them. So Yeah, I think they're going to be tough. Kearney and Smithville,
They also
of course. What's that?
they also got the high school voted them the nicest field this year. So they're playing on a brand new baseball field, and how can you not be motivated and christen that, with some fake champagne?
There you go.
Hey,
There you go.
whatever you believe in, right? Maybe the
Yeah.
writing's on the wall.
Smithville and Kearney both had really good years last year. Smithville, they lost some guys. It'll be interesting. I think they're good right there. Cameron Taylor, Mason Jones for Smithville, Cameron Taylor for Kearney. Cameron Taylor is a dude, bar none. Lebanon, if you didn't get a chance to watch, go watch the interview with Cole Milliken. It was a fantastic, and not to mention you got Klee, Alex Klee, I think it's, yep, and
Landon Lee.
Landon Klee, excuse me, sorry, Landon, and Beckett York. I was down in Lebanon yesterday doing some testing and stuff and watching their practice and watching those guys. Got a chance to talk to Coach Wheeler a little bit more, get to know him a little bit. I think Lebanon's going to be very good, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, you got 3 Division I hitters hitting 1, 2, 3 in the lineup, and they're not just hitters; they're really good athletes. The question's going to be, outside of those 3, do you have enough lineup depth? And then those guys who are all going to be position players in college, will they be able to pitch some for them this year? They do have a kid named Shoemaker, Brady Shoemaker, who's going to SBU, that will help them on the mound as well. But it's when York might catch some. Milliken's going to play some at short. Like when you got all those responsibilities, are they able to step up you on the mound? And then the other question for them is, what district are they in? If they're coming down to our district, that's one thing. If they're going to that district that's more the Jeff City, capital city type district, there's a definite difference there. So it's going to be interesting to see. It'll be nice for them. They just aren't in a district up in Marquette or whatever else. It's a 2-hour drive for them. So that part will be nice.
All right, here's the finish at number 5, and I'm going to tout this one, but that's the Marshfield Blue Jays. At number 4, Rockwood Summit. At number 3, Webb City. At number 2, the Willard Tigers. And number 1, Platte County. I gave them the nod over you guys because they won it last year. They got a lot of good dudes coming back. I think they're going to be really good. I did it just to give them a little love. I think it's a 1A, 1B kind of thing again. Even Webb City could be 1C. I mean, honestly, I think you could interchange the top 5 how you wanted to. I could be wrong. And we're starting tomorrow. I mean, honestly, folks, tomorrow we'll be at Willard High School for our opening day game. We got Marshfield visiting Coach McGee and his Tigers. Coach, what do you think of this top 5?
I agree with it. Platte should be 1. They've won 2 of the last 5, just like we have, but they won the most recent one. I will say Coach Sipes has done a great job of, they kind of tandem pitch. They've not had like that definite big time arm, which sometimes holds the team back when they get to the postseason. But they're throwing guys 40 pitches, 50 pitches, 40 pitches, and so you don't get to see the same guy over and over. And I think that he's done a great job with that. They're so athletic. Obviously, losing Marriott early and rolling at UCF is going to affect them. He was such a good offensive weapon for them. But if you were at that state championship game with them and DeSmet, I mean, DeSmet's good, but Platte just physically, offensively was just so good that day, and they got a lot of those guys back, so that they're going to be tough. Marshfield returns 7 starters from last year's squad. That'll be really good. We're going to be really good. I think we have the best pitcher in Class 5 with Levi Hilton, so it's going to be a really good top 5. And I talked to Coach Doney just the other day. I mean, he's talking about all their football guys play baseball, and he thinks this is the most athletic group that he has had at Webb. Which says a lot because they're always super athletic. So, question for them is just, do they have a number 1 arm that can get swings and misses? And so, I think every team in that top 5 has some question marks, and I have Platte should be 1, no doubt about it.
Yeah, Summit. We're going to have them on: Caden Dingus, Wyatt Schneider, Evan Wade. I'm looking forward to seeing the young guy, the younger Dingus. He's a sophomore, started as a freshman. That just sounded bad. I'm sorry, bro. But that's his name. I can't help it. So
I think Schneider's going to Missouri Southern as well with Levi Hilton from us, and then my son's going there as well. So we followed him pretty closely. So, and his older brother's the number one pitcher there at Missouri Southern right now.
yeah,
So it's kind of cool.
Missouri Southern, man, they're recruiting the heck out of some really good players, Coach. I'm not so sure they're not going to be rivaling UCM here for too long.
Yeah. And then Pitt State, who's number one right now in D2. D2 baseball in our area, and I'm saying area including Central Missouri. I mean, there's so many good players that are maybe eventually Division I guys. It's really hurt the most is Crowder. Crowder's still really good. I'm not denigrating Crowder at all. But those guys now are going to places like Pitt State, Missouri Southern, and UCM, and developing there for 3 or 4 years. None of those Southern and UCM, neither one recruit JUCOs real heavily. They will take JUCO guys, but that has been a huge help for those programs, and it's really cool to watch how much good. You just turn on. I got the MIAA TV package. I mean, you just sit there and watch good baseball every day. It's great baseball.
Love it. All right, guys. Let's finish off with some Class 6 baseball. Oh, first and foremost, hang on. We're going to have Platte County. We're going to have Willard, Summit. We got Marshfield. We got St. Dominic. We got Kearney. We got Festus. We got Fort Zumwalt East. We got MICDS. We got all these teams and Warrenton. We got them all on the channel this year. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Class 6, starting down at number 20. Now, these are the two here. These last three, I think you could have put. I got Oakville at 20. I got Park Hill at 19. I got Seckman at 18. I got CBC at 17. North Point at 16. And, man, I think I was just sitting there beating my head. I think Lafayette could maybe have been in there. I don't know. I think Lafayette, right? Mitch, I see you shaking your head. Did I miss on any of those?
I think this is probably the hardest top 20 that you might have to deal with, because I think there's some teams like Lafayette that could be in this mix. To me, I think it's the flip a coin out from 10 on, maybe even 7 on. It's a flip a coin at any point. I think any of those teams are going to beat the number 1 teams, 5 teams. I think they can win these games. But I think you're spot on. What is Oakville going to do? I think where you get with some of that is the wait and see factors, because they have names, but are those names healthy, and how do they recover, and do they care? Because I think that's one of the big things I see about some of these bigger schools is sometimes you kind of a sour apple, if you will, that doesn't really give a crud about high school baseball because they're already committed, and it has an impact on the season. That's why I think the coaching side's so important, not to let that happen. I'm interested to see if that happens to somebody like Oakville with some of the talent that they have, and then still returning. Is that going to be, can they be better than 20?
CJ Lake, he's a dude. I'm interested in seeing what Max Simakaitis does. The shortstop there, that kid, he's basketball player, big, tall, athletic. I'm interested to see, because I think that could make or break that team there. They've got the pitching again. Zanley, of course. Who is it? Sam Kessler. Kessler's there. I think it's going to be. Who am I missing? There's another pitcher, I think. I'm trying to remember. I don't know if I can hear it off the top of my head. But Seckman, of course. I think Coach Hagedorn, they've got, if Max Jones is healthy with Corey Hilsinger, that's a 1-2 punch, folks. I mean, Corey Hilsinger is a dude. You don't want to face him. He just gets people out. And if Max Jones is healthy and strong that way, I think Segman could be another one of those. Offensively, we'll see what they do. But CBC, they're offensively as good as anybody in the state. But we'll see what they've got pitching wise. I think that's the big one. A lot of these down here, there was that big question mark with that. CBC could be, like I said, anyone. North Point, again, same with the questions. They haven't done it yet. They've got talent. They've got the guys. We'll see. I'm going to keep moving here because I don't want to push too long, guys, and keep you going. So I know we'll get to some of this, but Rockbridge at number 15, Fort Zumwalt West at 14, Vianney at 13, Lee Summit at 12, and Slough at number 11. Coach, I'm going to let you go here and tell me what you think about that next five.
Really interesting to see how the coaching changes impact some of those schools. So you mentioned CBC already, the shift to Scott Brown. Mason Horn, great coach. Scott Brown, great coach. Very different personalities. Rockbridge, that program is just so well ran. Jeff Beza, who's the assistant now taking over as the head coach, I feel like was the best assistant in the state of Missouri. Now he takes over. He's been a huge part of it. But you know how hard that is. And they lost a lot of good players, but that program is so good. And then you got Fort Zumwalt West. You know, got a new coach there as well. Some of that stuff is so interesting to see the dynamic. How quickly do the seniors buy in? How quickly can you positively and negatively change some things? I think that's going to be the fascinating part for a lot of those schools you just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. Fort Zumwalt West, I think that, and as you said, Jeff, Coach Bazat was there, Coach Sisson was there, but it's a different dynamic once you hit that head coaching position. It just is. No matter what you'd like to say. The interesting one to me, Mitch, here is Slough. I think Slough could be very good.
So I've obviously have ties to one of the better players in the state, rankings wise in 2027 class with Cole Chambers. Known that family for a few years now. I just want to shout out to his sister Peyton, which is still his better hitter. I'll make sure we cut that in, please. But the Cole, I think, is he's won state tournaments in soccer. He's kind of that guy that has a championship mentality, and as a junior, can he actually be the guy that team leans on to bring that mentality to the club to maybe get them over some hurdles? I am excited to. I get a chance to see them kind of early on. Well, I'm not going to watch. I'll probably game changer stuff, but their schedule that they're playing early on is intense. So we're going to find out a lot about these schools early, and are they going to be able to continue the success that they had from the past 2 years? And I think it's whatever Cole thinks about it, it's kind of on his shoulders, I think, because he's the premier name and player of that program.
It's going to be interesting. Head coach Caleb King, I think that team is right there. Will be interesting to see. At number 10, I got Nixa, the Eagles. At number 9, Staley. At number 8, Lindbergh. At number 7, Liberty, KC. And at number 6, the Kickapoo Chiefs. Coach, we're sandwiched here with Nixa and Kickapoo. We've talked a lot about these teams. I think Nixa, the youth there, is dynamic. How quickly, but there's a lot of leadership there. Could this team really make that big leap and be a Final Four squad?
Absolutely. In some ways they lost obviously big time guys with the Mets and Kentucky, etc. But Cameron Miller now stepping into the leadership role, number 1 pitcher, going to TCU, just being a junior. They've got a catcher named Rowan Johnson, big physical guy, just never could quite get in the lineup last year. Now he's the everyday guy behind the plate. They got a first baseman named Wyatt Francis that's going to hit lead leadoff, and I know why is your first baseman hitting leadoff? He reminds you of the first baseman from LSU a few years ago that was so good defensively, Trey Morgan. He's just a good athlete. I think Nick's is going to be really tough there. So that will be cool to watch. We also play Liberty and Staley each year, so I know all
Yeah.
four of these programs pretty well. I feel like you have them ranked exactly right. What's interesting, Kickapoo has the most pitching in this area by far. And they got all these guys back. Brody Wilson going to Missouri State, but after him, they've got a huge group of just mid 80s strike throwers who can spin it. So they're going to hold people to low numbers. The catcher Brooks Eaton's going to Crowder; he's a good player. So, and then Liberty, Kickapoo and Liberty is such an identity of we're going to bunt, we're going to run the bases. We're never going to swing and miss. If that means we cut down on our swings and just put the ball in play, we'll do that. And so it makes them really tough to beat. So I'm really excited to watch all those guys this year.
Yeah. We got Liberty taking. We're going to be down for the red and blue. And Glendale, we got Glendale and Liberty down there. So I'm looking forward to that one. I want to see what Coach Julian's got too. He could be sneaky as well.
Yeah, I mean, they lost a few guys. Obviously, Sebastian Norman being the big one, but having Yates back, I really like some of their sophomores this year. Their sophomores this year are good players, so it's gonna be fun to watch them as well.
Yeah.
They're probably not a top 20 team yet in Class 6, but there's somebody who can beat a bunch of these top 20 teams.
I agree. All right. Mitch, Lindbergh, real quick. I think Lindbergh, if they stay healthy, which they've got a little bit here, Jack Polite's a little banged up, but it sounds like he's going to be okay. Probably pitching, which is going to be good for them anyway. I think they got enough offense. They need him to pitch. Lindbergh could be one of those in a tragically tough district in one, and you got that Jackson group hanging in there. Lindbergh got the stuff.
I mean, I from being able to watch that game last year and just watching the athleticism and just kind of, it kind of, the vibe I get was like a little bit of Carlos Beltran. Like you want to tell him, you yell at him about hustling, but it just looks easy for everybody on the field. I got that vibe out of Lindbergh last year. They can just swing it. It feels like they're unassuming until they make a really great play. You're like, oh wow, I didn't expect that because of the way that they look like they swing or run, and then they piece a ball and it goes 400, and it's like, okay, I didn't see that. And I think they have a tremendous amount of talent, obviously, but I feel like it's like that Carlos Beltran effect. They're just smooth. It's just easy for everybody that's over there.
Yeah,
So I do
Austin
think
Jones,
yes.
Aiden Kennedy leading that team, the junior CJ Lujak, it's shortstop, and then the big kid. He just keeps getting bigger. Every time I see him, he's just bigger. John Calcaterra. Kid's huge, man. I'm like, what are you eating, bro? And so I like Lindbergh right there. It'll be interesting to see how they do. At number 5, the Jackson Fighting Indians. At number 4, Blue Springs South. At number 3, Liberty North, the Eagles. And at 2, Francis Howell. And at number 1, I didn't see any holes in this team, and that's the Eureka Wildcats. That's why they're number 1. There was no holes in this team, and we'll come back to that in a moment. But the Jackson Indians, I think that's the team that's under the radar here. I think they could be a Final Four team, Mitch.
Yeah, my guy, man. The first time I ever coached against Carter Shipman, and what he did on the field against us, and in that tournament, I think he was your first one of your first Super 7 kids or something like that, or whatever. Whatever player of the game Super 7 thing. I think it was one of the first kids back then, and I go, man, that kid's going to be special. And somebody goes, have you seen him pitch yet? And I just saw him as a catcher. His physicality on the field, I was like, dude is different at 14 years old. And you look at him now and it makes sense. Then someone says, go watch him pitch. And I watched him pitch in a championship game because they beat us to get there. And I was like, okay. That kid, to me, like just his gamesmanship, his winning mentality, I think can help Jackson. And I'm excited to see what they do. I'm not going to sleep on the Shipman kid. So I'm rooting for Jackson just because of Shipman, though. To be transparent, I like Carter Shipman that much.
I love it. Right, Coach? Your thoughts on the top five?
Well, first off, I'm rooting for Jackson because they are surrounded by Class 3 and 4 schools, and they make a conscious effort to travel. They're in the Columbia tournament. They travel and play to find competition. It would be so easy for Jackson to go 32-4, lose district championship, and say it's been a great year. But instead, they're trying to do everything to be good. Francis Howell is a pinnacle program, but it's pretty easy for Tony to find a bunch of really good games within 20 minutes of his house. If to be at Jackson and find really good games, you're on the yellow dog about 3 nights a week for 2+ hours, and so I've got a lot of respect for guys like that. So, yeah, top five. You really like Francis Howell just because of how offensive they always are. I know they have some real questions behind the plate, and when you're catching big time arms, that's going to be a concern. But I don't know enough about a couple of those other teams, but I'm never going to rule out Tony Perkins in anything.
Now,
I am predicting. I think St. Louis might catch back up to Kansas City this year in the Class 6 by the end of the year. Kansas City's kind of dominated that the last 3 or 4 years. Some of these St. Louis schools have a little bit more this year, and I'm not sure the Kansas City schools have as much pitching as they've had the last few. There's no Taylor, there's no Cole Gibbler, there's not one of those guys. So we'll see.
I really like Liberty North. Troy Fisher, the William Bologna, the kids. This team, I think, is pretty loaded. I think they do have the pitching. Liberty North could be back to that championship form. Blue Springs South, Graydon Superling, they got quite a few coming back. I think South, Coach Bear, I think they're going to have a pretty good. I think they're going to. That's why I got them at number 4. I know not quite 1. I think Eureka is there, and why Francis Howell is 2. I think it should be 1. But you're right, Coach. They have some. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their catching position, and when you've got a Curtis and a Brett Schneider and a Dirks and these high-level arms, you got to have a high-level dude. And it'll be interesting to see what Coach Perkins does with that.
I will say who would be better at convincing a kid just to get good enough than Tony Perkins. So same thing. First few weeks, don't write him off the first few weeks. He's going to get somebody ready. It might be the third baseman moving there, but he's going to get somebody ready by the time they get to the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. Eureka, I want to give a shout. Jackson Joggers, Ben Lackey, John Habercorn, Cade Gustafson, 3 kids going to SEMO out of that. Plus you get Dane Grice back off a surgery. You have Jack Baker. You've got some younger guys, some other ones we didn't talk. Craig Ringy, their offense is all back but one. This team is primed. They stay healthy. I think this is a team that is probably not going to lose a lot. They might, who knows? But on paper, and that's what we're looking at right now, this is a really, really good team. And I'm looking forward. It's late in the year, too. We're traveling to Eureka, Lindbergh at Eureka, late in the season. Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that one. We got some good games on the schedule for you folks. What's that, Mitch?
That's got to be must see, especially late in the year. What kind of implications does it have? Will they see each other? We'll know Friday, obviously, how this is going to pan out and, how they pitch against each other. And I think for Eureka, it's going to be the glue, which is that head coach. So I think I'm excited for the top 5. And there's some names that we've seen a lot lately that are not in there anymore. And I'm excited to see some of the new blood that's kind of in the tops for Class 6, to be quite honest. as I looked over our rankings that we did the other day, and I'm really excited to see what these folks can bring to the table.
Yeah. I'm in. I'm looking forward to seeing Ray Peck with Coach Lurch up there. Like I said, Glendale Smith Cotton, Coach Zimmerman's got some guys that'll be interesting. Team Blue Springs could be interesting again. House Central, Coach Beckman, he can coach some dudes up. That'll be interesting as well. Rolla, Coach, I think Rolla's interesting. We'll see. There's another one. They have to travel everywhere, so that's always tough.
Rolla's schedule just kills them. It's so tough when you're playing, But I'll say, pitcher Jensen Thomas is going to Angelo State as well. Center fielder's going to Nebraska. They're we played them last year. They just melted down defensively, but you just looked at them on the field and you're like, oh, they're every bit as good as we are. And a lot of those guys are back. That senior class has been good at football, basketball, and baseball since they were like in third grade. And so now this is their time to go out and do it. And so I'm excited to watch them play as well. Like you said, it's so tough because of their schedule. It's tough for them to find games against people that are their size, just because of where they are.
Yeah, some tough stuff. Folks, we hope you've hung with us. We hope you've enjoyed this. We'll be back Monday with our live. We're going to be recapping the opening week, opening day. We'll be recapping this ball game that we got tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Coach.
Yeah, we're looking forward to doing it.
Absolutely. Mitch, man, appreciate you jumping in, dropping the knowledge. Folks, we hope you enjoyed the program. Look, if you like what we're doing, subscribe. If you want some exclusive content, you want some perks, we got some great stuff. Shout out to Jason Christian, who was on the show before you come on, talking about Kilo Gear. He's coming on as a partner with Youth Baseball Midwest. We do appreciate that. We got Bob Evans now as a partner for our club members as well. We love that. We're growing. We're doing. We got some great stuff. If you want to be a Legacy member, join us today. It's $60 for a full year. We appreciate it. That helps us continue to grow. And we appreciate all of our partners, all of our sponsors. We got some great ones coming up this year, and we appreciate it. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Everybody, all you pitchers, keep throwing some strikes. Coach, both these coaches, I know they're not going to say it, but that's what they want you to do. And all you hitters.
Oh, I say it. I tell our pitchers, if you don't throw it over the plate, you ain't pitching.
I love it.
Right there.
There you go.
Right there. That's the secret
Exactly.
I say that from.
Exactly.
I love it. You hitters, hit them where they ain't. Everybody, we'll see you at the ballpark.